we may be comfortable here in the United States right now, but their plan was annihilation of the entire West, beginning with Israel and leading to the United States of America. For those who are saying the U.S. is fighting Israel's war, the U.S. is embroiled in a war for our Western civilization, for our biblical values.
Welcome to the Reveal podcast. We are America's bold voice for Israel and the Jewish people.
Israel, the United States, and Iran are at war. And over the weekend, I think that most of America, most of Israel, most of Iran have been glued to their televisions, glued to social media, and just receiving some horrific news. And for us, for Bridges for Peace, we received news yesterday morning that one of the communities that we have been ministering in for over 20 years was hit by rocket fire. At least 3 homes were leveled. 9 people have been confirmed dead, with bodies still under the rubble. Our family, our Bridges for Peace family, both in Israel and here in the U.S. and in 8 different nations where we serve, are grieving with the families that we love in Beit Shemesh.
We had the opportunity to live in Israel for 10 years, and while we were there during times of conflict, nothing like this. This is definitely something that is more extreme than what we ever faced while we lived there. Iron Dome did a really good job of taking care of the missiles that came in from Hamas in Gaza. Not to say that there weren't ever random casualties, but buildings and homes weren't getting blown up. And now Israel is operating Iron Dome, David Sling, and the new laser missile defense system. But they've just been bombarded with rockets, not just in Beit Shemesh, but in Jerusalem, in Beersheba, in Tel Aviv. And the Israeli government is actually asking people not to post the wreckage because they don't want intelligence getting back to the Iranian regime to give them any propaganda to be able to raise their spirits. And their spirits are low right now. A lot of their leadership was wiped out in the initial strike. And this is really good for America.
It's a victory.
It's a victory. Yes. These were evil people responsible for the death and even torture and terror on many people throughout the world, including hundreds, if not thousands of Americans for over 40 years. They were ruling with an iron fist in the Middle East. The whole region has basically been held hostage by the Iranian regime. And I'm really glad that the United States had enough intelligence and enough foresight to join forces with the Israeli government, the IAF, the IDF, to use the intelligence that was generated by the IDF, right? Israel has people on the ground in Iran at the risk of their lives.
Yes.
They have been living as spies. And that intelligence is what has provided the opportunity for the USA and Israel to wreak havoc on the evil regime in Iran.
And while it is a war between the United States and Israel and Iran, we need to recognize how blessed we are living in the United States, because our nation is at war, but none of it is here at home. So you imagine what the Israeli and the Iranian people are going through. And we lived through some of that. We lived through skirmishes during our time in Israel. One of the times that I will never forget was in the summer of 2014, when 2 Israeli boys were kidnapped, which launched us into war in Gaza, and rockets were coming into Jerusalem. And I'll never forget stepping off the bus, coming home from work, and everybody, cars pulling over, and people getting to the east side of whatever brick wall or building they can get to, and looking up in the sky and seeing the Iron Dome intercept a rocket. This is the reality, and the reality is much worse for the people living there today.
Well, and here's where it really hits home, and I would really like it if it's really hard when you're separated by thousands of miles and seeing things on a social media feed. It almost doesn't give justice to what's actually happening. And I want to take a minute and think about these families that lost loved ones in Beit Shemesh, because these families were regular Israeli Jewish people. Maybe their husbands were off to the reserves. They may or may not have been there. We don't know. But here's what we do know. We do know that one of the grandparents and one of the parents of the children that we feed in our Feed a Child program were killed in that moment. Many of you have adopted these children.
Yes.
These are children that are sponsored by Christians from around the world. They're below the poverty line, and we are in the schools all over Israel, but our largest concentration of schools is in Beit Shemesh. It's a poorer community, and we are in those schools giving hot lunches and after-school programs and tutoring, transportation, backpacks, so many things. And these kids have been adopted by Christians from around the world.
These kids grow up on our program. And so for those of you who are not aware of some of the programs that we have in Israel, our Feed a Child program is only able to take care of these children because Christians from around the world give. And like Patrick said, it's school supplies, it's backpacks, it's after school programs, it's field trips, it's their hot lunch. Some kids, this is the only hot meal they're going to receive. And Christians from around the world give to make this possible. And then the kids stay on our program. So they grow up as Bridges for Peace kids. When Patrick and I were really just finding out about Bridges for Peace and asking the Lord how we can be a part of giving to the ministry, the Lord led us to Feed a Child. And on one of our trips to Israel, we got to meet with the little boy that we sponsored. I'll never forget that. We don't speak Hebrew. He didn't speak English, but we sat there with a translator and we got to learn about his life. We got to learn that he likes to play football, soccer, like most Israeli boys do. We learned about his siblings and what his favorite subjects in school. And the beautiful thing about this program is because our kids stay on the program until they graduate from high school, we receive reports back that as they move on into the military, because all Israeli children grow up to serve in the military, they excel while serving in the military. And so much of that is because they had an opportunity to receive a strong support to their education through their Bridges for Peace sponsors. And so this is a real outreach of love to the children of Israel. And so our hearts are broken today.
Yeah, and I just really want to think about this child who doesn't have a grandparent and a parent now. This is one of those children that we adopted. And yes, the community will step in. We're not going to, as Bridges for Peace, try to come in and take that paternal role. That's not what we do as an organization. The community will do that. But I really want this to hit close to home for any one of you who has had a child, or maybe you are a grandparent or a parent. And if you would think about war in such a way that it's happening over there, but these are still real people that are being affected. And then if we think about Israel and the sacrifices that it's made, Israel's making sacrifices for us.
Yes.
Because our children are not having to face this right now.
Exactly. Yes. And we have a military daughter. We do. Our youngest child, our youngest daughter is in the Marine Corps. And if she had been in the IDF, like was her dream, growing up in Israel, chances are high that she would be embroiled in this current war. And so our children are not there. The Israeli sons and daughters are fighting a war on our behalf. Yes, we have soldiers who have deployed, absolutely, and we pray for the American soldiers deployed.
And for the loss of the life of the three.
Exactly.
Our heart is breaking for those three. That's your sons and that's your daughters. Yeah. And all loss of life is just tragic. And we just have got to be grateful that we live in a country that stands up for freedom. And I think that peace through strength is a good idea because it's really hard to negotiate with thugs and terrorists who don't have a problem killing their own people to win a war or to win a battle. That didn't start with Hamas. That started in Iran. Yeah. This has been happening through this mindset for a long time. And these people don't value life. They're a death cult. Yeah. And Israel has taken the brunt of this death cult for the entire world.
And they're not a joke. When they say death to America and death to Israel, they mean it. They have strategy to bring those plans to fruition. And we may be comfortable here in the United States right now, but their plan was annihilation of the entire West, beginning with Israel and leading to the United States of America. And so for those who are saying the U.S. is fighting Israel's war, the U.S. is embroiled in a war for our Western civilization, for our biblical values.
For our children.
For our children.
For our grandchildren.
Yes.
And that's something that we really have got to, for our freedom, to be able to worship, to be able to not live in a country where Sharia is the law. No. I don't think that we would survive very long under Sharia law.
No way.
I wouldn't survive very long under Sharia law. And so I am grateful for the President of the United States, and I'm grateful for the nation of Israel that is willing to fight for my family and my future.
And I'm grateful for our Bridges for Peace volunteers serving in Israel. And I want to ask that you would pray for them, because they are really given an opportunity right now to bring comfort to the people of Israel. We have a team that has already attended, I believe, the Shiva for the child who was killed. Our team is there in Beit Shemesh, just offering support to the people, comforting the people, allowing the people to cry on their shoulders. And as you can imagine, that type of ministry carries with it a lot of weight. And so then they return home to their apartments, to their families, and they have to continue that comfort, because in the middle of the night, they're packing up their kids and running to the bomb shelter along with all of the Israeli citizens. And so be praying for our volunteers in Israel.
Yeah, Bridges for Peace is a frontline ministry, meaning when something happens in Israel, we're connected with organizations and leadership in the entire country. And when something happens in the nation of Israel, we are there to respond immediately. When October 7th happened, our response was immediate. There were still active shooters and war going on when we were at the front lines. And when we got the call from Beit Shemesh, immediately we were there. We have been there immediately for the people of Israel. The only problem that we have is that there's not more of us.
Yeah.
And we have a large team there, but we only have limited resources. And it is making an impact, and it is making a difference in all of the people who see us. They see a different kind of Christian. The people in Beit Shemesh don't think about Christians like they used to 50, 100 years ago. I don't mean Beit Shemesh, but I mean like the Jewish people used to think about Christians. The mission of building relationships between Christians and Jews in Israel and around the world is working. And actually, it's working better in intensity.
Yeah.
We are actually living out what our founder, G. Douglas Young, intended over 50 years ago when he went to Israel to study. And then later on, he used his van as an ambulance during the 6-Day War. We are living that out today. The fruition of his faithful diligence, and then other people like Becky Brimmer, who served the Jewish people with all of her heart for years, and countless other Christians and organizations that have been in the land of Israel serving the people, or here in the United States or in whatever country they're in, basically telling the Jewish people you're not alone. Mm-hmm. And that is a huge transition. Yeah. Things are different now than they were in 1948 and than they were during World War II.
Absolutely.
And our call right now is to be America's bold voice for Israel and the Jewish people, and to say something like the Holocaust is not allowed to happen on our watch. We will fight for that.
Never again, and never alone. To our Jewish friends, never alone.
That's our mandate. That's what we fight for. And this is an invitation for you to be a part of it. Of course, you know, these things cost a lot of money when we're involved in rescue missions, and when we're involved in supporting different humanitarian efforts in the land of Israel, when we're working with these children in the schools that are no doubt traumatized. These trauma sessions, they're not cheap. They do animal therapies and art therapies. And we've been involved in all of that. And we will be involved in all that, restoring these homes that have been blown up. We have a hand in all of those things. And
it's time for our first sponsor, our only sponsor, Bridges for Peace.
Yes.
And if you're able to give to our crisis fund, we will put a link in the comments. And, you know, I want to say now more than ever, but we end up with a lot of nows more than ever. But now is the time that the Israeli people need Christian love and support. So please give to our crisis fund.
And the Israeli people trust us.
Yes.
That's what's been built over beautiful. 50 years.
Yes.
They trust us. And they're willing to let us into their funerals.
We have a reputation in Israel. It's not uncommon for our volunteers to ride on a bus wearing a Bridges for Peace t-shirt or carrying a Bridges for Peace tote bag and be approached by people who will come up to them and thank them and let them know that when they first immigrated to the country, they received food through Bridges for Peace. We have a reputation, and that's because our work has been solid, it has been proven, it has been faithful, and God has always provided for us to meet their needs.
And we have a faithful donor base.
Yes.
We know that our donors will show up in this time of crisis because you have before, and you always do. And it's because not everybody can go to Israel, but everybody can be a part of what God's doing in Israel. We have prayer teams, we have high groups, people, prayer warriors around the United States that pray for Israel, not just when there's a conflict.
Every week.
Every week, all year long, we pray for Israel. Our donors give so that we can build relationships between Christians and Jews in Israel and around the world. And we're just so thankful for each and every one of you that has received this update, for every one of you that is going to give to the Crisis Fund. Just know that your gift is going directly to help people. Your gift is going directly to the front lines. You are making a difference, not just for now, but for all of eternity. And we've all got to keep that mindset, that the work that we're doing now, it goes beyond what happens today. This is an eternal work that we're doing. Whether we're serving with our hands, whether we're giving with our finances, whether we're on our knees in prayer, whether we're making a podcast or sitting behind the computer, engineering this podcast, it all matters eternally. And I believe that the work of Bridges for Peace and the donors of Bridges for Peace and the prayer teams and the staff and everyone involved in this holy work, as they stay faithful, will receive a well done, good and faithful servant.
Amen.
So as we close out today, one day before Purim, the Erev tonight in the United States, we're reminded of the evil that tries to destroy the Jewish people. But more than being reminded of the evil, we're reminded that God is victorious over all of his enemies.
He's faithful.
God is faithful, and he will be faithful to Israel in the days that we're living in right now. And so we just want to close off today by declaring God as victorious and glorious and all-powerful and almighty, and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God bless.